Up next on Live It Up, a lot of people I know found out that I was interviewing our next guest and they were so excited, had so many accolades. That's because our next guest is DJ Skribble.
That's me.
So that's him,
That's
DJ
me.
Skribble. He's here. Ah! Okay, so in all seriousness, it was so exciting when a mutual friend of ours reached out and said, "Oh, I'm friends with DJ Skribble, and he might like to be on your show." And I was like, "That would be great. I'd love to have him." And then since then, there are so many people that have followed in your footsteps. You really are an icon.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and a motivator.
Thank you.
Tell us how your journey began. What was the moment when you woke up and said,
It
"That's
was
it, DJ"?
1980, many moons ago. I was coming home, walking through the park, and I seen this party going on in the park, and this dude was playing records, and I'm like, "What the hell is that?" You know what I mean? And I was 11 years old, and I was like, "I want to do this." Like I just saw him controlling and making everybody happy, and then I ended up becoming friends with the kid. His name was DJ Squiggy, and I say it every interview because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing this. And he lives in Atlanta now, I think. And then I just would go to his house and practice or whatever, and then until I got my own turntables, and then I pretty much buried myself like a nerd in my room and just bought records, worked to buy records, worked to buy equipment, and just kept practice. And then in about 1988, 89, I got into a rap group called the Young Black Teenagers, which was 5 white guys produced by Public Enemy, who were so big at the time, and Hank Shockley and Keith Shockley and the Bomb Squad, and we made a hit record called Tap the Bottle and Twist the Cap, which took me on a few world tours and around the world. And then I got into radio. I was doing WRHU at Hofstra and WBAU at Adelphi, and then I got Hot 97, doing the morning show with Dr. Dre and I Lover, which led me to Broadway when I did a Broadway show with Bill Irwin called Hip Hop Wonderland, and I also did Jam on the Groove with the Rocksteady Crew and Get Original Dances. Took me around the world. And then after Hot 97, my big break was 98 with MTV. And they took me down to spring break and said, go. I did it, and the rest was history. I was on MTV like almost annoying. I was like, we need music, get Skribble. We need music, get Skribble. So I was on all these different shows doing, from Yo MTV Jam, MTV Jams, Yo MTV Raps, to the beach houses, all the spring breaks, and that's what really skyrocketed me to the stratosphere. Going around the world and been to 59 countries, all 50 states.
You turned it into an art form. I want to explain that to you.
Well,
There's
it
a
was
moment
always,
in time. Yeah,
it was always an
but
art form. It was,
it was just
there's
coming
people.
up then, though.
Yeah, you're right. But there's
Right?
people that came before me, from Cool Herc to Africa Bambaataa to Grand Wizard Theodore, all these icons that I look up to this day, and I was embraced by hip hop culture, and then later on into the dance music world. So I wanted to be the first DJ to play both hip hop and house music and be that first person. And yeah, I was the first person to actually bring it into your living room, like in a real way, and
Like the show and tell part.
right. I mean, just
Yeah.
showing what turntablism was and how a real DJ gets down, which is becoming a lost art form, unfortunately, because technology is a double-edged sword. But with that being said, there's still so many kids that, and to this day, I get the chills when a kid comes up to me. He's like, I became a DJ because of you. And that's like, to me, still like, yo, I'm just a kid from Queens that played with 12-inch round pieces of plastic and got to travel around the world and been very lucky. But yeah, I mean, I turned my name into a brand. I definitely know, like, you're the first person that did it and made it a brand. And that, I've done everything from Super Bowl to Pro Bowl to being the first DJ ever to headline a USO tour in Iraq for the troops. And, I've done so many cool things and been able to spread my knowledge and always give back to kids and always give back to DJ culture. Like, and
How
that's,
did you learn to appreciate that, though? And
my
what I
dad.
mean by
I
that is
guess
you are the same person before the crazy fame as you are now.
I'm
How
just
did you keep your life together and real?
because I come from a very grounded family. My dad was a doo-wop singer. He was in the Ovations and the Velvetones. So I came up around music and just I'm no different than anybody else. My job is to go out there and entertain you. My job is to make you shake your butt in the club, make you forget about your problems. If I do a record, for somebody, or if I've produced records for Big Pun, I produced records for Busta Rhymes, and a bunch of dance records, and, have so many albums out. And, does that make me better than you? No, I'm just a kid from Queens. I got real lucky. And granted, thank God I have talent. I still just think I'm lucky, but you know, I worked hard for it. It's not, and now it's even harder because you know I was this very special kid, they said, in a little pond, where now, you know, trying to be a DJ today, it's this ocean.
You're right. It's very competitive, and like you said, it's an art form, and it took a lot of practice. You know, people don't realize the blisters you get on your fingers. People don't.
That's
Yeah, no, I'm just joking. But
no,
but, you know, but they don't
it's
understand.
not even that.
Right.
It's not so much all the practice. It's also just knowing your craft and knowing the music. You know what I mean? And knowing, okay, so what works in Houston, Texas is not going to work in Boston. And being able to read a room and, you know, take people on a ride for 4 to 6 hours and just switch them every which way you can and make them just be in this frenzy of happiness and just like, oh my God, he played this record. Oh my God, did you hear how he did that? You know, and unfortunately, because of the technology, a lot of kids that are just looking in their laptops and then throwing records on, they don't see that. They don't understand that because they didn't come from going to stores and digging for records and finding that one. You know, now the click of a button, you're global and these kids have access to so much, which hurt the dig and hurt the, you know, that journey of finding that one record that's going to do it. You know what I mean? And knowing when to play it, how to drop it. You know, it's the same way I produce music with my team. It's just like we take it and what's going to sound like at a club. What would it look like on a video? How is this going to work? You know, there's so many different stages before you get there,
Right.
and nothing's a guarantee.
But you do have you have consistent gigs now. You know, like
Always.
Yeah,
I mean,
was
I've
gonna say,
always, thank
right.
God, because of my name, I've had, you know, the luxury and the blessing to be in 59 countries and travel still throughout. Like, you know, I leave for Houston on Thursday. I got Tampa on Friday and Saturday, and then I got Columbus, Ohio on Sunday for Memorial Day weekend. You know, so
And you have Vegas. I mean, is it fun when you go to those cities over and over again? Is it fun to go to like the favorite places that you like to eat? Do you have a favorite thing in every place
Oh yeah,
now?
like if I go to Chicago,
Right.
like I'm right to Gino's East because I love deep dish pizza. I know I'm gonna get in trouble for saying that right now in New York, but I do. I love Gino's East, and you know, different places have every city has a different heartbeat, a different vibe. And, you know, I've met so many people across my career, you know, and I have somebody in every city that we hang out with or whatever. And, you know, it's just go to certain little dives or certain restaurants and it's, you know, it's fun. I mean, I've been introduced to so many different cultures from being around the world, you know, from Bangkok to Israel to Dubai to Italy. I mean, I've been, like I said, so I've seen so much in my life, and it's also grounded me too as a person because, you know, we take a lot of things for granted here. You know what I mean? And you see certain things. You know, I've been, you know, when I went to Iraq, I mean, that's to me when someone goes, "Yo, what was your favorite gig?" I'm like, "It was the most gratifying thing I ever did was when I went to play for the troops in Iraq." You know, I was born on Otis Air Force Base. My dad was Air Force. My grandfather, great grandfather. So anything I do for the military has been like amazing to me. 2 years ago, I spent New Year's Eve in Qatar on an Air Force base with, you know, all these kids, and it was just, those are my favorites, you know, because they're out there protecting us and they don't have that luxury of just going out to a club. So anytime I get to do stuff like that, I love it.
And even how you represent like the dog tags that you have today on, you know, and some of your ink. Tell us about your ink and what and
I have
how.
a lot of
yes,
it.
but it's
you
beautiful.
can't see a lot of it. It's a lot.
Okay.
Well, that's my daughter.
Okay.
We did that, and then that's my dog, my favorite dog. This was done by Hirotoshi, which is this. He comes from a very famous family in Japan who does it traditionally. This is all pretty much Darren from Miami Ink, and he did all my back. I love tattoos. Nobody in my family has them but me. I'm like the black sheep of the family, but I love tattoos.
But it's allowed because you're so creative, right? They make an
Yeah,
exception
they make
for
an
you.
exception for me. Like, it comes with his job.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law said, I don't go below the elbow. I've already gone below the
Yeah.
elbow, so that's it.
They're so cute. But you do. You have a wonderful family, great support
3
system,
kids, yeah.
friends all over the world. You're true, and you give back, you know.
As much as I can, yeah.
So I enjoy you. I was so glad that we got a chance to meet. You're welcome. And your smile lights up the whole room, you know.
Thanks.
When you play, do you feel like you're almost like a conduit?
I still get butterflies at every
Yeah.
show that I play. I said when that goes away, then that's when I want to stop. Because I don't care how small the show is, if it's a venue that holds 250 people or 20,000 people, it's the same feeling. When you look out in that crowd and you see that energy from these kids and they're giving it to you and you're giving it back to them and it just all comes together, it's like, It's amazing.
It's magic.
There's nothing like it.
Well, I thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us. I wish you happy journeys
Thank you.
and all that you're doing, and all the things that you're producing. And I'll be seeing you at some charity events too that we're going to be giving a shout out to.
Big Daddy.
All right. Stay tuned for more on Live It Up. We hope you enjoyed our intimate portrait of DJ Skribble. Stay tuned for more.
That's me.
That's him.